Good morning, dear students. Today I'll be discussing active and passive voice. I'll be going into the concepts of active and passive voice along with examples. I'll be also discussing the common errors that we encounter. So now we go on to a sentence emphasizes the subject performing an action, while in passive voice, the sentence emphasizes the action or the object of the sentence. To know how a sentence is converted in passive voice from active voice, we need to go through certain rules with examples based on it. Now, in active voice, a sentence that begins with the performer of an action or subject, then the verb, then the object or person whom the action is performed on is called an active sentence. Like, for example, the subject is Sam, the verb there is read, and object is a book. So Sam read a book. If we begin the sentence with the object, then the action is performed on the subject. We formulate this as the passive voice. For example, we have the same sentence now written in the passive voice form. Now a book becomes the subject, was read is the verb, read is the verb, and then object is Sam. But we have to add the by over there whenever we are converting to passive voice. Now the rules. Not all sentences take an object. For example, Jenny slept well. There's no object in the sentence. Ronnie lives far away. Now, when do we use and when do we not use the passive voice? When we do not know who the subject is, or it is not important who the subject is. For example, somebody cleaned the room. The room was cleaned by someone. So here we don't have to write by someone because it is not necessary for us to know who the somebody is. So here, even if we write the room was cleaned, it is sufficient. Also, when it is obvious to the listener who the subject is, because it is the person who usually performs the action. For example, the cleaner cleaned the room. The room was cleaned because here the cleaner is it is obvious that the cleaner has cleaned the room. So even if we don't mention the cleaner, it is okay. We have the rules. If we want to mention the subject in a passive voice sentence, we must use be or by. Then, if an active voice sentence begins with no one, then the passive voice sentence will be negative. For example, no one turned on the light. The light wasn't turned on by anyone. If there is a preposition between the verb and the object, the preposition will remain after the verb. For example, they talked about the issue. The issue was talked about by them. Now here we notice that the preposition about is still after the verb talked. Then we come to the rules for the simple present tense. Now here the active voice, we can see the subject plus the first form of the verb plus s or es plus the object. And then when we change it to the passive voice, it is object plus the helping verb is am or are plus the third form of the verb plus the by and the subject. Similarly, for the others, we have the same format. Then we come to this simple present tense. Here we have the example. Now the examples that are given here. In the active voice, he reads a novel. So passive voice, it is a novel read by him. He does not cook food. Food is not cooked by him. Does he water the plants? Are plants watered by him? Now for the present continuous tense, we have the same rules, except now we are going to use the ing form. So we'll use subject plus the auxiliary verb or the helping verb plus the first form of the verb plus ing plus the object. And for the passive voice also, it's object plus the helping verb plus being plus the third form of the verb plus by plus the subject. And so this is the format we are going to follow. Then these are the examples. Rekha is singing a song is an active voice. When we convert, it becomes a song is being sung by Rekha. Then Kritika is not chopping vegetables. In passive voice, vegetables are not being chopped by Kritika. Then is Raghav buying a cupboard? Is a cupboard being bought by Raghav? Then active and passive voice rules for the present perfect tense. Here we use subject plus has or have plus the third form of the verb plus the object. And in the passive voice, it will be the object plus has or have plus been plus the third form of the verb plus by plus subject. Then these are examples for the present perfect tense. Rahul has challenged her. So now the passive voice sentence will read as she has been challenged by Rahul. Radhika has not written an article. An article has not been written by Radhika. Have they left the apartment? Has the apartment been left by them? Then there are certain things we need to keep in mind, that there is no passive voice formation for these tenses. The present perfect continuous tense, the past perfect continuous tense, the future perfect continuous tense, and the future continuous tense. Now there are certain common mistakes that we encounter. Often students make these mistakes, so we need to be very careful about them. The first is changing the tense to a similar tense. For example, someone has reported the murder. The murder was reported. This will be incorrect because we have changed from present perfect, we've changed it to simple past, whereas it should have been in present perfect only. So the murder has been reported by someone will be correct. Then forgetting the verb to be. For example, someone has received the letters. So if we write the letters have received, that will be incorrect. The correct will be the letters have been received. Then also using the present participle instead of past participle. Someone has reported the incidents. If we write the incidents have been reporting, that will be incorrect. The incidents have been reported is correct. Also confusing plural and singular verbs or subjects. So the example is someone has reported the incident. Remember, keep in mind that someone is singular. Therefore, the verb has to be has reported and not have reported. Now the task that you have to do is that there is an exercise in Total English on page 10 and 11 related to active and passive voice. I want you to do this exercise so that we can discuss it in the interactive session tomorrow. Have a good day and please be safe. God bless.